Today's presentation's topic is reuse of single-use items, that how we can use the items which are not allowed to use second time on the patient. So our objective for this presentation is reused single-use devices will have to comply with the regulatory requirement of the device when it was originally manufactured and will not use after expiry date of items. कोई भी item, either it's expensive or not expensive, we should not use after its manufacturer expiry date. Certain single-use devices may be reused under specific circumstances, but there are risks associated with the reuse of single-use devices. The risk of transmission of infection depends on the type of devices. So what is the criteria for reuse of single-use items? It pertains to those single-use items which are either expensive or difficult to obtain and the item can be cleaned and sterilized. In our country, many items, those single-use items are very expensive or those items are not available. But we need to use those items. So there is an increased risk of infection and there is possibility that the performance of the device may not be adequate or unacceptable after it is reprocessed. So reuse of single-use devices involves regulatory, ethical, medical, legal and economic issues. So when we are using the single-use item, we are reusing these items. So we must inform to the patient and get consent from the patient that reusable equipment we are going to use to the patient. And if patient allows, then we can use the single-use item for second time on the patient. Otherwise, we must know, or in our organizations, we must have a policy that how these expensive items which are not available easily, which are not easily available, how we can use in our organizations. So we must maintain log for all these items. First of all, each department identify their single-use item required for re-sterilization, maintain log of reuse item with required patient's detail. So we must prepare a list for reusable items which are single-use. So for each department who wants to single-use item wants to reuse, they must prepare their list and get approval from their administration. Evaluate the integrity of the item to be reused. Monitoring and reporting of adverse outcomes or any event means if we are using this single-use item and patient get infection and he report again to your organization or to your nursing home or any other premises, so we must take action or monitor this for the adverse outcome. Monitor and audit the process periodically. So in monitoring, first of all, we should know how long we can use these expensive single-use item for another patient. Cleaning process for each device will start immediately after use. Review overall texture and condition of the item, whether it can be reprocessed or repacked. Central Sterilization Department is responsible to monitor for its wear and tear, then clean and repack for sterilization. Its lumen should not be diameter, at least it should be 0.9 mm or non-lumen start 1 hour. It can be sterile in plasma sterilization. So risk assessment for these single-use items when we are using it again, we learned today that we must know the items what we need to use again between patients. So we must prepare, first of all, we should identify the items, then prepare, every department should prepare a list and get approval from the administration and be ready for the adverse reactions. The risk assessment we have to do for reuse of single-use items. that is, these items are prone, process and risk are identified through incident reporting of adverse event resulting from the use of all items. The number of such incidents shall be tracked on regular basis. IPC team monitor random patient for procedures involve these devices. So record keeping is very important. All those patients who are involved in single-use item which we are reusing on that patients, so we must keep record for all those patients and keep with us. So the hospital acquired infection we can identify in those patients, and those patients who will get infection from these devices, we must keep record for all those patients and make some mechanism or make some guideline or standard operating procedures that how we can revise revised our guidelines that how the patients should not get infection by reusing these single-use devices. So these are some references. By these references, we can learn more the single-use item in our organizations and how can we improve or reduce the infection rate in our hospitals. So the single-use items to make a guideline for how we can reuse, how we can orient to our healthcare workers that they should not use, they have to report these items and they must inform to the administration. So these references can guide you more to educate yourself more. Thank you so much.